The very best and the very lucky were still fit for battle, and they would do their duty as always. The story would be completed in a few hours. What little remained of Lee's Army of Northern Virginia and the Stonewall Brigade would rise as a fighting force one more time and attempt a breakout toward the Blue Ridge Mountains to the west. The morning of April 9th broke with an early brilliance. It was Palm Sunday and a fine springtime day in Virginia, but to the Confederates it seemed instead like Judgment Day. At Appomattox Courthouse, the Army of Northern Virginia was cut off from its supply trains. The rails from Lynchburg had been so smashed that needed rations and ammunition couldn't be moved to the front lines. Wagon trains were mired in mud, ambushed, destroyed, or broken down far behind the retreating, shattered army. Ragged and thin as saplings, the men in gray were now surrounded. Of the 28,000 men still answering roll call, barely 5,000 could be called battle-ready. The others were wounded, sick, or weaponless. They went on, hour after hour, day and night, retreating and fighting. They had lived on parched corn and creek water for nearly 2 weeks. All were near starvation. Facing them were 80,000 well-fed Union troops, bristling with cannons, and backed by supply trains stretching dozens of miles around the perimeter. Confederate General Gordon passed the word down from Lee to prepare for the attack. Maybe, just maybe, the Confederates could break out to the west. Once there, they could hold out and battle on in the mountains. It was their last and only chance. Sergeant Grady wrote his name and hometown on a scrap of paper, wrapped it in oilskin with a short farewell note to his wife Anna Jean, and stuck it in the pocket of his flannel shirt. "Goodbye, Taylor." Jack shook hands with the sergeant from Company C. "Farewell, Jack. I'll see you in the mountains, or I'll see you in hell." Taylor smiled and cuffed him on the chin. "I want to hear that Spencer of yours. I can still pick out its bark in all the noise. It's comforting. Luck." "I'll do my best. Luck to you." Jack took a deep breath and turned to his small squad. Only 9 men were left. "All right, boys, tighten up. This here's part of the Stonewall Brigade of the Army of Northern Virginia. We got work to do this morning." Jack moved among his troops, talking to them, adjusting equipment here and there, trying to calm them. Willie Ballard, a 22-year-old private, was badly frightened. The young soldier was a tall, strong city boy from Knoxville, who could outmarch any man in the company, but now he was paralyzed with fear at what he saw across the meadow. Jack stood in front of him, blocking the boy's view, and tightened his straps. "Don't look over there, Private. Look at me. Look at me, I say." Sergeant Grady shook him by his shirt front and slapped him on the cheek. "Is your weapon loaded?" "I don't know." Jack took the boy's rifle from him and checked it. "This piece is clean and loaded. Good job, Private Ballard. Don't look over there, I say." Jack shook him once more. The young man trembled. "When we start across, stay next to me, real close. Fire when I do. Stay with me. We'll be in them mountains by nightfall." "Sure we will. Like hell," he reflected. Willie was so terrified he could barely stand as he moved into formation. He glanced across the meadow. "Stay right beside me now. We'll make 'em pay, won't we, Willie?" The private nodded, trying to hold back his tears. The ankle-high pasture grass waved toward the bristling Union lines. Jack took out his knife, cut a small piece of leather from his belt, and clenched it between his teeth. The long drum roll began. Pulling his hat down hard to his eyes, he ordered his men to join up and fall in. At root step, they started marching into the meadow near the Lynchburg Pike. The ragged line of moving gray scarecrows could hardly bear to look up at the awful sight ahead of them. There, on the high ground, row upon row of Union artillery, with a mass of infantry 10,000 to the mile, blocked their way to freedom. Jack chewed hard on the leather and bent forward, anticipating the wind of fire his army was about to endure.